Greetings, friends and foes, and welcome along to Keep Your Friends Close and Your Animes Closer, an anime podcast. And welcome to this, episode 33. I am, as always, your anime plumber, Joel, here to clean out those anime pipes.
I am your anime plumber's apprentice, Robert, here to hold your tools, pass you them when you need them.
I'm your anime plunger, Curtis.
That would not be outside of the realm of possibility. This week on the podcast, we watched episodes 10, 11, and 12 of Revolutionary Girl Utena, and we're going to talk about that right now. But first, last time on Keep Your Friends Close and Your Animes Closer. Robert, do you have any follow-up?
I do, yes. I mentioned an expression, the lady doth protest too much, methinks. It's from Hamlet, not Macbeth, as I thought it was. I had to correct myself on that because I should have known. Also, we talked a little bit about the Mandela effect and how it's not really a shared hallucination so much as a shared false memory. And one of the examples that I came up with, it's the Berenstain Bears, not the Berenstain Bears as well. But one of the examples I came up with really blew my mind because I was a victim of it. If I asked you both to describe Mr. Moneybags or Uncle Pennybags, I think they call him in America, the Monopoly guy, the guy from the Monopoly, what would he look like? What would he be wearing?
Okay,
I'm not going to answer this because I know this one.
You know this one?
I know this one.
I feel like I know this one too. So he's got. It's so funny. He's got like black pants on.
Sure.
And like black shoes, and he's got like a little walking stick,
right?
And just like a penguin tail suit.
Okay.
And then when you get to the head part of like what he looks like,
right, yeah. To the head part.
I'm actually going to disagree with him. The black pants. I think he might have grey pants with like some black pinstripes now.
Oh yeah,
that's exactly the point that they were making. Grey pinstripe pants.
No, we get to the head, and he's he's got a big old bushy mustache on his face.
Yeah.
And no hat.
He wears no hat.
He doesn't have a hat.
Pretty sure it's got a top hat.
This is the. I'm trying to. You guys have made. I'm pretty sure that the reason he doesn't have a hat is because the hat is a piece on the board.
Right, and he's looking for it.
Exactly.
That's the game of Monopoly.
So he gets in his car.
Yeah.
Sends his dog off, his bloodhound.
Just the whole
sniff out his hat.
Nobody really appreciates like the deep lore that comes with Monopoly.
Sends a Navy ship out.
Yeah.
All right. So seriously though, what's he look? What's he?
Okay, so from the bottom up, still the same. I think he has a mustache. I feel like he doesn't wear a monocle.
He doesn't wear a monocle.
Oh God! Don't.
Get it?
He doesn't have. Does he have a monocle?
Does he wear a monocle?
He doesn't.
He does not, but most people think he does.
He does, yeah.
And I thought he did as well. I saw a side-by-side comparison. I was like, he definitely has a monocle. He does definitely not have a monocle on any of the photos on any Monopoly board ever. But the other one that blew my mind, could you describe what Pikachu looks like?
Oh, okay. Yellow.
Yeah. No, it's bright purple.
Mouth shape.
Yeah.
Lightning bolt for a tail.
Mm-hmm. Go into more detail on that.
Brown stripes on the lightning bolt tail. Right. Yellow tail, brown stripes. A black end on the tail.
Okay.
Do you want me to do it?
Do you have anything to add, Joel?
He has the black tip of his tail.
Yeah.
No stripes on the tail.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have stripes on his body. I've seen ones with stripes on his body.
He still has the lightning bolt shaped tail.
Yeah, it's like
but no brown stripes on it. No, he's got a black tip.
Black tip. And he's got black ears, red cheeks.
Would it blow your mind Mandela effect wise if I told you Pikachu does not have a black tip on the end of his tail? It's brown at the base, yellow for the rest of it.
No, he doesn't.
No black tip.
No. We're pausing the point.
That's exactly. This is the one. That's why I asked Curtis first, because I was like, Joel will know this one. But then I'm amazed that this is the Mandela effect in action.
Oh, it's ears.
Pikachu does not have a black tip on the tail.
I was certain of that tip.
Yep.
Wait. No, what the?
That's good.
I thought even Detective Pikachu had it.
Detective Pikachu.
That's a different conversation for a different time.
That's great.
Well, thanks for putting me on blast.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting me on blast.
I started with the Moneybags because I thought you wouldn't know that one, and you both did. So, Pikachu, I'm glad I managed to get you with that.
People think he has a black tip on his tail? I'm sure I had a toy growing up that had a black tip, but I'm probably wrong.
So many people think he does that. If it's not an official,
it wouldn't have been official. I would have got it from a $2 shop.
They might have had it on the end.
Fucking.
So there you go.
This is good.
And the last bit of follow-up was you two were arguing over whether it was the end of the world or end of the world. It is just end of the world.
That's fucked.
Yeah, it's nutty.
I have follow-up. I was saying that Sakuga... No, sorry, I was saying Sakugo is when you have a sudden increase in animation quality. It's Sakuga, not Sakugo. Sakugaboru is the website where people submit examples of Sakuga. Okay. And it's just like... You type in a show and people have made short, 16-second, however long the Sakuga goes on for, videos so that you can see,
What the difference is. Suddenly it jumps.
Well, no, you don't see the jump, you just see the...
Of super smooth animation.
Yeah, super smooth, increased animation quality. Sometimes it's relative to the rest of the show, so varying quality.
Which is why you'd expect them to show both.
Surely you're looking at if you care about animation. Anyways, saw some good examples from things like Kill la Kill and another show that I watched recently. Another dumb thing that I said with confidence, and then I stepped down immediately when Robert questioned me on it. I have this bad habit of, if I think I know something, saying it with the utmost confidence.
This is how it is.
I said that Space Dandy was not directed by the same person who did Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo. I was wrong. Space Dandy was also directed by Shinichiro Watanabe. My bad. I apologize. I also don't think I said it last episode, but I have been saying that One Piece has been going since the 80s. I'm getting it confused with the start dates for Dragon Ball. I knew that it inspired Dragon Ball. I just thought that it had started a lot earlier. One Piece did not start until 1997.
97?
97. Okay. Still been going for 21 years.
Oh,
but
shit, that is 20 years. God damn, I hate that. I hate that. Late 90s, I think. That was a few years ago.
No. No.
Yeah.
Well, I think with that, we should move on to Revolutionary Girl Abridged.
Episode 10, title.
Nanami's Precious One.
Saionji is doing his walk of shame. He's collected his belongings and he's fired from the school. He's heading home. Mickey and Juri are bad-mouthing him while Kiryu is being two-faced, saying, it's such a shame that you were expelled. I'll do everything in my power. And then he takes his exchange diary and throws it in a furnace. Student council. It's Kiryu's turn to fight, but he hasn't recovered from being attacked yet. No matter though, there is another duelist that we haven't met yet who can step in and take the first fight and give him time to recover. Slap! Only this time it's not Anthy. It's not Anthy and the Mean Girls. This time it's Nanami getting her hands dirty, and it's Utena on the receiving end. Nanami's blaming her for getting her brother hurt, but in walks Kiryu and says he doesn't blame Utena. Back in her dorm, Utena's feeling really guilty, really awful about the whole deal. And Anthy walks in holding a box. She has a kitten from somewhere. She suggests that Utena maybe takes some roses to Kiryu, make him feel better, I guess. Make herself feel better, I guess. Flashback. It's Kiryu's birthday as a young one, and a filthy Nanami enters with a kitten in a box. Their posh parents are appalled, but Kiryu thanks her for the gift and embraces her gently, kissing her on the eye.
Such a popular place to kiss people.
Yeah. Back in the present day, Nanami sees Kiryu training after dark, and she runs outside to beg him to stop before he reopens his stitches and hurts himself. He holds her close and wipes her tears away. She asks him to kiss her, and he pauses, but says it wouldn't be right. They're not children anymore.
He thinks about it, though.
Yeah, he definitely considers it. Back at Kiryu's mansion, his current day birthday party is in full elegant swing, and Juri wants to know who the duelist is, with the duel being scheduled for tomorrow and all, but he's tight-lipped about it. Utena steps forward and gives her roses over, and then Nanami comes forward and slaps her again. Anthy steps up to defend her, but gets a slap for it. And what's that now? Is that every episode but 2 still? Yeah.
Pretty much.
The kitten that Anthy's holding in the box mews, and it sends Nanami back into a flashback of when she bought the kitten for her brother. The rumours start circling the party about Utena and the president and what's going on between them. Cut to later, after the party, Kiryu admits that Nanami wants his D, and Anthy gives him the kitten at this stage, saying, I didn't get a chance to before, what with your sister slapping me and all.
you just did nothing.
You did nothing about it, so I've kind of been holding a kitten in a box for the rest of the party. Kiryu gets the kitten out and loves it. He's climbing all over him and he's having a blast. Nanami, watching from afar, is reminded of when she gave him the kitten and he loved it more than he loved her, and so she stole it away and put it in a box. Nanami wants to fight Utena. She comes up to her and says, You're going down, bitch. And Kiryu steps in and says, No, the school has rules that only those with a rose seal can fight.
Here's a rose seal.
So here's a rose seal. Put it on your finger. Nanami's the new duelist. Nanami? Music scene, and Nanami's up on the top of the thing with a proper Kill Bill vibe going on with a yellow jumpsuit. Utena starts the fight. She beats her quite easily, but Nanami's not having it. Even though she's lost her flower off her chest, she pulls out a smaller blade and keeps fighting, trying to kill Utena. She almost does too before Kiryu orders her to stop.
He has to think about it.
He has to wait,
he has to give it like a real long think, like,
what will happen if I let my sister kill this girl? Flashback to Nanami not only taking and stealing the kitten away, but drowning it in a river for getting between her and her brother.
Cool. Good stuff. Love it.
Present day, Kiryu consoles Nanami of her loss, and as he walks away, he ominously thinks, The data has been gathered. The power of Dios will be mine. Ha 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 ha. End of episode 10. Episode 11, title.
Gracefully Cruel, the one who picks up the flower.
Wakaba and Utena are outside having a picnic, and Wakaba is super pleased with herself. Anthy arrives with her lunchbox too, but it's bigger. From their reactions, is it meant to be better or worse than...
Which means that there's more work gone into it because she's prepared more food, presumably.
Right, okay. They kind of looked at it as if... And I wasn't able to say, that's gross food. Or whether that's...
It's more like it's not lunchbox food. Like, it's dinner food, and how are we supposed to eat? Like, imagine somebody coming up with, like, just a Tupperware thing of noodles to a picnic and being like, there you go, and you've got no cutlery.
Right, okay. Gotcha. Thankfully, Choo Choo's eating it all anyway. So they have a joint lunch, the three of them. They laugh and play and enjoy watching Choo Choo choke himself on whatever it is. Kiryu's spying from afar, and then as he walks over to speak to them, Utena sees him silhouetted and starts to entertain the thought that maybe he is actually the prince. Cut to a council meeting with lots of balloons flying around. I guess that's symbology we'll get into later. They talk about Nanami's defeat and how the whole thing had been orchestrated by Kiryu. He callously and remorselessly basically admits it. Utena sees Kiryu out in the greenhouse talking with Anthy. She says, I'd like to learn to cook like Wakaba did. And Kiryu says, bitch, it isn't your job to cook. It's your job to tend the roses. The greenhouse, not the kitchen, which is interesting form of chauvinism. Utena runs in to put a stop to his bullshit, and she gets Anthy to say that she hates being the Rose Bride, and he laughs and claims to be her prince, and then he proves it by stating that Utena was crying when we met, weren't you? And she's like, I was crying. He could have only known that if he was my prince. And he goes in for the kiss, and then he pulls back and makes her blush, and then he challenges her to a duel. Later, she considers that the only link that she has to her prince is the ring, and the ring is now the thing that's compelling her to duel her prince. It's ironic.
Unless he's not the prince.
Unless he's not the prince, which he definitely isn't. Tea with Anthy. She asks her if she'd like to be friends with Wakaba.
Wakaba.
Forgetting how to say it now. Anthy sort of admits that she does want more friends. Choo Choo's not actually enough for her, the way she's been saying. Utena says, yeah, sure, I'll help you get some friends. You'll be a normal girl when I'm done with you. She tells herself that it's her job to return Anthy to being a normal girl again, so she can't possibly lose, not even to her prince. She walks up the stairs to a different music scene this time, slightly different.
Serious.
Yeah, there's something odd about it. Once she gets to the top of the stairs, she slows down with taking the steps, and Anthy's waiting and stuff. It's obviously forewarning that something's going to be a little bit different here. Utena is reluctant to fight, but she draws a sword and charges in anyway. He sidesteps easily and says, don't hold back. Those who fight with compassion lose their lives. They fight a little harder, and he tells her that she's an amateur, and he's showing off effectively. He's toying with her, hoping to see the power of Dios manifest itself. Eventually it does. The prince dives in from the castle and comes in Utena. Then they race towards each other again, but Kiryu drops his guard, and it throws her off. Not wanting to hurt her prince, she lowers her guard too, and then whack, he wins.
What a dick.
Yeah. her sword disappears into light, and then she begs him not to take Himemia. Anthe. She begs him don't take Anthe away. She needs to be a normal girl. She really wants more friends. And he turns to Anthe and says, "Is that true? Do you want more friends?" And she's like, "No, I'm happy with being the Rose Bride." He turns to her and says, "Listen, she's the Rose Bride. She says whatever her groom wants to hear, effectively. So she doesn't want friends. She just knew you wanted to hear that." And Utena refuses to accept it. "No, that's not true!" And collapses in tears.
Bum bum.
Episode 12, title.
Perhaps for friendship's sake.
Utena skipped class. Wakaba worries about her and notices that Anthe's name is no longer on her dormitory door. She goes in and confronts Utena about skipping class and intuits that they must have had a fight. She also sees that Utena's uniform's ripped, but when she offers to repair it for her, Utena refuses, saying that she'll just wear the girl's uniform from now on. The girls around the school are swooning at seeing Utena this way, but Utena is down in the dumps and staying that way. Council meeting, Kiryu is boasting that he won the fight, but Juri says they're not in the last scene yet. Wakaba keeps trying to get to the bottom of what's going on with Utena when Kiryu arrives. He asks her out and touches her up, and Wakaba throws a fit that she's letting him touch her, and then she throws a glass of water at him, but it hits Anthe instead. Utena slaps Wakaba, and then she slaps her back. It's a big slapping fight. Utena gives Anthe her napkin to dry herself off as they leave. Kiryu is talking on the Rose phone and leaves Anthe alone for a moment, where she starts daydreaming about Utena. Utena approaches Wakaba to apologise for hitting her, and she berates her, begs her to be herself again, and eventually Utena snaps out of it, apologises for slapping her, and decides to take back Anthe with a duel.
Dun, dun.
She goes to find Kiryu and challenges him. Juri gives her a sword that she says, "You'll need this to properly set the last scene." And then she makes it all the way to the arena with a completely different soundtrack this time. Kiryu draws the Sword of Dios from Anthe, and then unlocks a new power in it that we've not seen before.
Says, "Abandon your body, Rose Bride, and protect the sword." And so she goes, "Alright," and she goes over, she kneels down, and she, really slowly puts her lips towards the sword and gives it a little kiss.
She gives the sword tip, just kisses it right on the tip. And then she doesn't actually abandon her body. I thought she was going to get sucked into the sword.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
But no.
I assumed that they weren't able to show it, but it wasn't like blood.
I don't think so.
No.
I think it was just glowing red with the power of Dios.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I wondered whether she had to cut herself on the tip of the sword or something and bleed on it, but then she wasn't bleeding from the mouth from that point on, so...
Right.
So they have a fight. Anthe doesn't think that Utena has a chance, and quickly her sword is snapped in two, so it looks like she might be right. He is really playing for keeps with this fight, and he's tearing up Utena's uniform. She doesn't give in, though. She doesn't back down, even though she's fighting a losing battle. She gets knocked just to her knees, and he's just hammering at her from above. And she's just not giving in. Eventually, Anthe starts to question, why is she still fighting when she could die doing this? And I think I read it as Anthe's questioning of her groom was what eventually stopped the power from the sword.
I agree.
So the sword turns off, and Kiryu goes, "Wait, what the fuck? What happened to my red sword?" And that's the in that she needed. Utena stands up and swipes off his rose, and she wins the fight.
I read that as I saw that as Anthe realizing her love for Utena.
Ah, okay, like a romantic love.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh shit, I can't. I've got to."
And so she stops.
I did
fighting.
I did see it as Anthe willingly taking away the power from the sword.
Ah, okay. No,
or either willingly or just losing confidence, but something.
Right. Yeah, because at the start of the fight, she's she can't possibly win.
Yeah. And
then towards the end, she goes, maybe she'll win. And then that's when the sword turns off.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we'll learn later whether it was willing or not. But that was the end. That was the end of episode 12.
Oh, and they moved back in together because of course they do.
Of course.
Yeah. Still Shoujo boys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, still enjoying it. Still enjoying it. Yeah.
These were some good episodes.
Yeah, I had some. There were a few things came up for me with these episodes though. Like the dual challenges seem to now have a schedule that, before, it seems like they were just challenging them when it suited them. Like Mickey, when he realised he needs to have the Rose Bride, otherwise somebody might eventually tell her that she can't play music anymore, and that'll be horrific for the world. So he's like, she's got to be mine so that I can tell her she can keep playing music forever. And so he challenged her right then and there. Same with Juri, once she was like, I need to prove to them right now that the miracles don't exist. So I'm challenging you right now, and I'm going to take it right now. And now they're saying that there's like schedules to it, and there's the next fight is scheduled for tomorrow, and like a whole tournament thing.
Don't know what to tell you.
No,
I noticed that as well. I thought maybe what it could be is that they had to complete a certain number of fights before a certain date.
Right.
Maybe we'll find out what happens next episode.
Right.
But noticed.
Yeah.
But don't know.
Don't have answers for them yet, I guess. Also, the school only allows people with a rose ring to duel, so the school knows about the duels then.
No idea.
That's what that was implied, that the school it's like a school sanctioned thing, because before we thought it was like a secret forest.
This feeds into my prediction that the principal is running the show.
Right. Yeah, because it seems like before it was like it's a secret forest, special illusion magic keeping it.
And who would know about a secret forest on school grounds that they would have to work at the school and like a high position of power?
End of the world. So you think he's not the prince though, right? He's just there.
No, I think the principal. Oh, they could make him the principal. No, I think the principal is just the bad guy.
Right.
And then she's like, "You're not my prince, you're just a principal." And then it's like, "Oh, shit."
Got me.
Wordplay! Kiryu knowing about how to unlock the new power of the sword.
Yeah, Kiryu has always known more about whatever the castle,
just because he has the rose phone and he's calling.
Yeah, I was going to say, because he has direct contact with the end of the world, whereas none of the other student council members seem to. Just in case you missed it, when they climb up the spiral staircase, there's a floating mirage castle that may or may not be a mirage.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get into it through fighting, but the main character Utena is completely disinterested.
Yeah.
They spend all this time being engaged to the Rose Bride.
And never get married.
They need to marry.
Yeah, they need to arrange a ceremony.
Well, the thing is, Utena is like not interested, or not openly interested in marrying Anthe at the moment.
Well.
Not openly.
I think she's getting that.
True. The other student council, like, why did Saionji not marry Anthe like right off the bat?
Right.
Because they're already engaged by the time Utena shows up. There might be a scheduled wedding date.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. There might be like you have to be engaged to her on this date. And so everybody's like, leading up to that date, you're like, I challenge you! I want to be the last person to it.
No
like
idea.
a game of hot potato. Whoever happens to be holding on to her at the time.
Pass the parcel.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like, you can only get married in the castle, so you gotta wait for the castle to come down or something like that.
No idea.
Who knows? They have a furnace on school grounds.
Yeah.
Why?
Because in Japan, instead of recycling, they burn all their rubbish.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So you
seems
separate.
Really dangerous.
Instead of separate. They do have some recyclables, but they separate it into recyclables, burnables, and trash. So they burn a lot of rubbish.
Huh.
Worse for the environment, but
yeah.
I think I saw once on a random 10 things you didn't know about Japan.
Yeah.
That it's the students' responsibility
to clean the school. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They don't have janitors at schools. It's supposed to teach kids pride and responsibility in their workplace,
right.
And it's teaching them work ethic that they're supposed to take into the workforce.
Nice.
When Kiryu tells Anthe that her place is in the greenhouse,
and then the following episode, he's like, "No, your place is beside me.
You have to stay beside me always
until I go to a party. Now you have to stay here."
Yeah. What is the green? Does she own that greenhouse or run it?
No idea.
We don't know anything about that. Do they have greenhouses on Japanese school
No,
grounds?
this is that's a bit of a fantasy school thing. I don't think that. Yeah, no.
You don't think they have herbology classes in the greenhouses?
Not that I'm aware of. These are all things that it's weird because the main character seems completely disinterested in all the things that we have questions about.
Yeah.
Utena is just like, that shit sounds boring as fuck. Eat my dick, and then jumps around and plays basketball and dunks on people.
Can you imagine going to high school and then finding out one day that there's a dueling arena in a secret forest with an illusory castle and that, and just suddenly you're a part of it because you got a magic ring, and just being as disinterested about all of it as Utena is?
But it would be to relate it back to New Zealand. It'd be showing up to school in year 9 and then getting drafted into the first 15 on your first day, and you're like, I don't know how to play ruggers.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you're the quarterback. Get out there.
Yep.
First 15 being rugby.
Rugby.
Our national sport.
Yeah, we all know everything about that.
It's an egg-shaped ball. If you kick it, it bounces. But not in the way you'd think.
The way you think.
Never in the way you think.
Service announcement to those with cats or thinking about getting them: don't feed them on cow's milk the way that Anthe does.
Also, don't put them in a box and then kick them into a river.
don't drown them in a river the way that Nanami does.
That episode 10, that was like a
dark, wasn't it?
episode.
Yeah.
And then Nanami has always been a bitch of a character, but she's kind of been just the comedy bitch. Like, this character's
The
a
way that
bitch.
she laughs is...
Yeah. But she's just a legitimate sociopath.
Yeah.
Just
Scary.
And Kiryu's a fucking creep. At the end of that episode, when he's like consoling her, and you can see him like smiling, and he loves the fact that she's got a thing for him, and she's like crying into his chest.
Well, let's talk about that for a little bit, because so there's that, and then there's also the way that he treated Seonji.
Yeah.
The way that he regards the other student council members.
Yeah.
He's a total psychopath.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about anybody.
He's using, and he says that at the top of the Utena fight. He says, "If you fight with compassion, you'll lose."
Yeah,
and he views everything like that. He's got no compassion for his mate of 10 years or his little sister or
Did the other student council members see that in him? Is that why Jury gave Utena the sword?
I read it that way. Yeah. Like Utena, like Jury wants
Utena to win.
Yeah, Utena to win, or at least Kiryu to lose.
Well, even there's that student council meeting where in episode 11 where Mickey and Jury are talking to Kiryu about what happened with Nanami, and he's basically openly admitting that he set it up just so that he could see. He wanted to see
fights.
To get. He didn't watch the other ones. I don't know.
He's already watched them from afar.
Anyways, he wanted to see her fight and gain more data, and they're like, "Fuck!" And then Mickey stops his stopwatch again. He's like, 6 minutes. So I think that they've all soured. Even in episode 12, when he's talking about Anthe in front, he's talking about her like she's not even there.
Yeah.
And Mickey is upset because he's in love with her.
Yeah.
Jury is despondent because she's like, "This guy's fucked."
Yeah.
No, I think that they've all soured on him.
Yeah, when he says, "Haha, I've got the Rose Bride. I've won effectively," and Jury says, "Game's not over yet."
Yeah.
And then gives her the sword. It's like clear that Jury not interested in him winning. So yeah, I think this is another reason I love the show, because they've got these interesting dynamics between all of the characters. There's characters.
They're not just like, I'm a bad guy, and I'm a bad guy too.
They're remembering what they've set up.
Yeah,
They've set up so many episodes ago that Mickey was in love with Anthe, and they're still using that whenever Anthe's in the scene and Mickey is seen looking at her and stuff.
They have dynamic relationships.
Yeah.
Can we... I mentioned it just a few seconds ago. Mickey's stopwatch. I know that we mentioned it a couple episodes ago, but Mickey's stopwatch.
Is it magical?
What the fuck is it doing? He said 6 minutes and 20 seconds, and I was like, is that the time that the show is? It was 6 minutes and 17 seconds. So I don't know if it's just like the edit that we're watching, and maybe he's timing the show. What the fuck?
I didn't notice that, but
I paused it and I was like, that seems like as long as I've been watching, and then it was pretty fucking close.
Oh shit! Oh wow!
It'd be really satisfying to have some sort of
meta narrative with the stopwatch.
Yeah.
I did look up. I was like, I might find spoilers, and if I find spoilers, God damn it, I don't mind. Apparently, there's no concrete thing on what the stopwatch is.
Yeah. That's a shame. What's the headcanon then?
Well, I don't know what people. I didn't look into many fan theories because I thought they're going to be pulling from episodes that we haven't seen.
Right.
But in an interview, the author of the manga said that he's timing time itself, which made me think that he's timing the show.
Yeah,
because he was like, the interviewer said, "What is the timing?" Author says, "Timing time itself," and then the production crew for the anime all just laughed. So, like, inside joke that they're just not going to share.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out for the time on his stopwatch when he does it in the future, see if it is the time on the show, because I had never noticed it before. I figured when he comments on it for the first time, like, because we see him click it loads, but this is the first time he actually says what the time is and has like a reaction to it.
He tends to do it whenever somebody says something that is either going to be important or is like evidently already important.
Yeah.
So he's timing something.
Which is what you would do if you're taking the minutes of the meeting, which is what he's doing at the student council, right? He's the minutes guy.
So he's timing the show.
It, or you press the lap button so that the timer actually keeps ticking, but you've got enough time to write down that time. So he goes Kiryu said this at 6 minutes 20 seconds, which is how I read it. It's like, oh shit, he's admitting his dastardly deeds only 6 minutes into the meeting. That's pretty good. But the problem with that is he uses it when he's not taking minutes at a meeting. He uses it for anything. He's walking around the school grounds, he'll just click it before he starts talking to somebody.
Yeah, I think that he does it whenever something
gets slapped.
Click. Slapped. Anthony was slapped at this time.
No, my theory for that is that he is timing the events of the show for some reason.
That would be kind of cool. Wakaba. What are we thinking? What are we thinking about her and who she is and why she is the way she is? Do we think she's actually in love with Utena?
Is Utena a second year student? I think she is, right? She's not a freshman, and I think that Wakaba is a freshman.
But they're in the same classes.
True, I lied. I was wrong. Take it all back.
Yeah,
that can't be the case. I don't know, because I don't think that she's gay, like how I think Utena is closet gay.
Right.
Because she wrote a love letter to Sayonji. I mean, I could be wrong. It could have been the lady doth protest too much.
Yeah.
We have to come up with an anime version of that.
I think it's like she's having no luck with the guys.
So she's like, I don't need guys.
Yeah.
It's just that the way that she reacted when Kiryu starts hitting on Utena in front of Wakaba,
the language that she
hit me as like, because she's like saying you can throw him off, you don't need to. It hit me as somebody who is not ready to say to their friend that they're in love with them, but hates to see other people with them. Kind of thing.
I don't know. Wakaba doesn't get enough screen time. Everybody else gets a lot more screen time. She
disappears for.
She got a lot these past two.
But I like that she was pretty heavy in 11 and 12. And I like that she was pivotal in getting Utena out of the slump that she was in.
Yeah, she's a good friend.
I think that's all she is. It's just a good friend.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Not every girlfriends have to be gay, Robert.
Her language is very much like, I love you.
She does outwardly say I love you and you're the only one for me and stuff like that. So it's not a huge leap. But we did touch on it there, so I want to play a new game called How Old Are You? I got some feedback from a listener on the YouTube channel who had put quite a lot of work into working out how old everybody was.
You didn't just look at the Wikipedia?
Apparently it's on there as well, but before they went onto the wiki, they'd actually thought about it logically and done the Sherlock Holmes. Well, he says in this episode you should respect your elders to this one, and they're in the same class, so they must be older than this person.
And if Gary can't be Jane's neighbour,
and the man in the red house owns the dog. Yeah. All right. So we'll start with Utena. How old is she?
So does he go first?
14.
She's a second year. I want to say she's 15.
14 is correct. She is 14, Curtis. Okay, nice and easy one then, Wakaba.
14.
Also
she's
14,
in the
same year.
class. Yeah.
How about Anthony then?
Let me just height referentials.
I'm going to say 15.
I was also going to say 15.
They share a cooking class. They're the same age. They're 14.
Yeah, I was a year younger than everybody at my high school, so there is a precedent for people being young.
How old is Micky?
13.
Micky is 13, yes. How old is Sayonji?
16.
Curtis?
Sayonji is 17.
He is 17. Curtis is winning.
Oh, because they're in the high school.
Yes.
Fuck.
How old is Juri?
17. 16. She's 16.
She is 16. Yes, well done. How old is Nanami's boyfriend from that one episode a while ago?
He's 12. No, he's 12. He's 10? He's 10.
Oh, Nanami's... I was like, she had a boyfriend? Oh, the child.
That young elementary school kid.
Yeah, 10?
10 is correct.
Yeah.
She is 10 years old. And finally, Kiryu.
18. 17. He's 17.
17?
17, but I'm not sure if that's before or after this birthday that we just saw him have. So perhaps he's just turned 18.
True.
I'm not sure.
True.
Oh, I said last one, sorry, I've missed Nanami. Nanami is...
14.
13 is correct. Curtis is better. Curtis is better at this game. Not so hot on the music last episode, but this episode he's got the ages down. You could work at a carnival. Guess my age.
Pretty good. Do we have any extra predictions?
I predict that we haven't seen the last of Sanji.
Oh yeah, no, he's back.
That's an
He's
easy one.
going to be coming back.
Let's see. Did I write any other predictions down? I don't think so. Oh, I predict we're about to see the next arc. I think that's like starting next episode.
This very much felt like the end of the first season, and considering it was 12 episodes and shows generally run for a 12-episode season, I feel like that was how it was paced originally.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a sort of a wrap-up of the first... We've set everything up now, we know...
We've fought all the student council members, now we have to fight the teachers, which is what my prediction is.
You predict they're going to start fighting the teachers?
Yeah, so the teachers have been coming back periodically, and a couple episodes ago I said that there typically aren't teachers that are predominant in high school anime. It's just because they haven't killed them yet. So, starting from next episode, one by one, Utena will hunt down all the teachers who want to keep her and Anthea apart.
Nice.
Revolutionary Girl Utena 2, Electric Boogaloo.
How many episodes? There's 2 seasons.
There's 39 episodes.
Oh,
So
wow.
next episode will be a third of the way through.
Right, okay. I think I have a different prediction every time we ask for predictions.
just hedging your bets. So you can be
Well,
like, I was right!
I still think it's some game. It's like a shared psychosis. And Anthea is just playing the Rose Bride like a robot, just like perfectly.
What is it that's making you lean this way?
Yeah,
That's so out of it for me.
I don't know. I think it's just like I have no idea. I think it just feels like that fairy tale sort of thing. Like Anthea is the she's the bride. We all want to get married to her. But we've got to fight to see who can marry her.
Right.
It seems very childish.
Damsel.
And
if Curtis is right, I don't know what I'll do. I'll do something drastic.
Just concede, yeah.
Because that's...
what will you do?
I don't know.
What?
You gotta put it down. You gotta throw your hat over the fence. You gotta say, this is
I'll
what
retire.
We'll retire.
This is like cut footage because Curtis isn't right, but we've filmed me standing in the doorway, Curtis and Robert sitting on my bed still, because that's where we record the podcast, and I'm standing in the doorway, light in front of me, casting a silhouette, and Curtis is like, you don't have to leave. And I take my hat off, and then I just let it drop to the ground, and then the door closes, and it's just like, to be continued, question mark?
I pick up the hat, and I look at Robert, and then it goes to black.
Yeah. You got the senpai hat. Senzu beans. Unless you had Malcolm
No.
last section.
My favourite part was when she kicked the cat into the river. I really liked the first fight with Kiryu. I thought it was like emotionally charged, and I didn't like it, but I liked narratively that Kiryu was just he goes as far as to say in the next episode that he won on pure skills. I know you fucking didn't. When he lowers his sword and he knows that she's going to doubt herself, and he's just going to take advantage of that.
That's
good
skillful,
stuff.
though. That is his skill. He knew that she would do that. He was playing her.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different kind of skill to swordsmanship, though, which is how I interpret it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's that famous example of the chess thing that I always forget the details of, but I remember the story because it's awesome. There was a guy playing like a chess grandmaster or whatever, and early on in the game, he just sacrificed his queen to seemingly no end at all. And for the rest of the game, the grandmaster was completely thrown off his game. He wasn't sure what the hell was going on and why he would do that. Nice. And the other guy ended up winning. And that's a skillful thing. Like he did that. Whether it was a stupid mistake or whatever, he made it look like it was on purpose, even if it wasn't. And it's quite a famous example of a guy, throwing off your opponent, doing something to deliberately throw him off, which is a skillful
He's
thing.
still a scumbag.
He is a scumbag, and he's a real creep. The way that he treats everyone around him, especially Utena, real horrible guy. My senzu bean was Choo Choo again. My senzu beans are Choo Choo, guys. I just love the little fella. At one point, it's at the birthday party. Utena gives the roses to Kiryu, but she prefaces it by, "These are just because you saved me or whatever. It's not. It doesn't mean anything." And he starts laughing and goes, "Oh yeah, it's just like you to give like a little disclaimer before you give me a present." and he starts laughing, and then Choo Choo just goes, and he starts like belly laughing as well, just joining in with whatever's happening at the time. He's just like always just joining in with something that's going on.
He's a cute little mascot. I like when he packed up his bags and
bowed. Oh, and he bowed, yeah.
And yeah, when crackers in his bag.
Yeah, I'll go for a Choo Choo moment. Moment? Is that what we're calling it? Sensu bean. Was when Choo Choo was on the shoulder of Anthe. Anthe was engaged to Kiryu, and Utena bumps into her on the way to school the next day. And they have this awkward hello, and then Choo Choo is just on Anthe's shoulder, just eating a cracker.
Just going to town
on a biscuit, seemingly oblivious to the awkward tension there.
Comedy relief of it, of the tension.
Just helping release it. That's all well and good, but I think with that, it's time to move on to a Weeb in review. A Weeb in review is where we, the three people on the podcast that you're listening to, presumably, talk about anime, tangential, or anime stuff that we did in the week, anime we watched, Japanese video games we played, manga that I've read. This week, I watched Space Patrol Luluco, which is an animation by Studio Trigger, who did Kill la Kill, some of the production team from Gurren Lagann, Little Witch Academia. It's a really short series, only 8-minute episodes, and it is a short 13-episode one season. It's really good. It's a really good comedy series. Had a lot of fun with it. It's about a girl named Luluco, and she's just a normal girl who wants to live a normal life and have a normal school life, and her dad is a space detective for the space police, and gosh darn it, a space criminal flies into their room in the morning and turns him into ice, but he can't be late for work even though he's completely shattered into pieces, so she puts him onto like a trolley and drives him to work, and then his boss is a flaming skeleton sitting behind a desk, and he never moves from behind the desk ever. He's always behind the desk no matter where he is behind the desk. And they say, well, I mean, his work still needs to be done, so you have his job, and then they slap a siren on her head, and then a suit comes over her body, and she's now in the Space Patrol, and they're like, go off, do it, and she's like, I just wanted to have a normal life. It's really silly,
yeah,
but it's really fun. I mean, like, so she goes to school, and she's trying to have a normal school day, and then a boy in her class gets identified as a space criminal, and so her body turns into a gun, her whole body, not in the same way that, not like, no, like,
she doesn't have to get titillated before she does.
No, just like her head is like the thing that is like the curved
hammer.
The hammer, thank you. Her head is the hammer, and one of her legs is the barrel of the gun, and she's just a gun, and it's just like, freedom, justice, gun morphing, and her body turns into a gun, and then she shoots him and kills him, and then, her boss now calls and he's like, good job, your dad's still frozen. It's just totally wacky and crazy, like her dad is frozen for most of it, and then there's a cockroach that's on him, just always on him, and it turns out that the cockroach was a double agent and was working for her.
Actually
a double... Yeah, the cockroach was a double agent sending information to Luluco's mum, Luluco, who is a space pirate, and she comes in and she's just ridiculous. So it's really funny. It also has, the animation is really stiff, but comically so.
Right.
Until it does things like somebody turns into a gun, or there's a fight scene, in which case the animation just steps up like 100-fold. It really feels like it was a passion piece by the team at Studio Trigger, because it's like, look, we need to get a show out, and we want to do ridiculous animation, but we have to, stretch it out to 15 episodes. We'll focus on these set pieces, and everything else can just be kind of stiff. It's not to even say that the stiff bits are bad, it's just that when you compare them to the action sequences, it's incredible. The story is about a girl who wants to be normal, and she's trying her hardest to not do anything that would be maybe conceived as weird, and she learns that, like, what the heck is even normal anyway? Normal is whatever. It's really good. It's really, really good.
What's it called?
Space Patrol Luluco.
Space Patrol Luluco.
Yep. It's got a couple references to other Studio Trigger properties, but I don't think you need to have watched them to appreciate the show overall.
How far in it are you?
I finished it.
Oh, you finished it?
Yeah, 13 episodes, 8 minutes. Yeah. Easy.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
Is it something that I could watch, or is it something that I should have watched?
No, you can. That's what I just said. Like, if you don't have to have seen other Studio Trigger stuff to appreciate it, it's pretty good, and you can breeze through it.
Breeze through that then.
The other thing that I've done, and I was doing this last week, but luckily I had like a bit of a buffer to talk about it, and I need to stop doing the thing that I've been doing, which is playing an obscene amount of Monster Hunter World. I know that that's not an anime; it is a Japanese game, though, and the reason I feel comfortable talking about it is the storyline is just completely fucking wacky. You go to this, there are dragons migrating to the New World, which is just a continent that you're unfamiliar with. Why are the dragons migrating?
Treasure.
It's usually what they do.
Minor spoilers for Monster Hunter World. It's got the shittest story. You don't play it for the story. The gameplay is so fun, though. They're migrating to die. There's like a place where monsters go to die. You find out that like this huge dragon is gonna go to this place to die, and if it dies, then it will release a bunch of life force energy onto the island, but it will completely kill all the humans there. So what do? And, they also talk about how like important that is for the ecosystem on the island, like incredibly important part of like the life cycle of every other thing that aren't humans on the island. So what they do is they shoot it with cannons until it just swims out into the ocean to die alone.
Oh wow!
And then when the ecosystem collapses in on itself, that's like the first half of the game. The ecosystem starts to collapse in on itself, and they're like, "Oh, what the fuck's happening? Oh, this is so weird. Bad stuff's happening now." And they're like, "We have to keep researching this monster. Go out and kill it." Or they're like, "These monsters are fighting. Kill them before they kill each other." Completely fucking ridiculous.
Humans or
it just doesn't. I don't know if it's like lacking self-awareness or just incredibly self-aware.
Right.
It's funny anyway.
It's a game called Monster Hunter, right?
Yeah.
So if you weren't told to go out and kill those monsters, you got to come up with a reason to do it.
Yeah,
the game would have been
Monster Saver.
Yeah.
Monster Sanctuary.
You said that it wasn't an anime, but it is made in Japan.
It's made by Capcom.
Is there anime games?
Are there anime games?
Yeah.
I'll get to that as well. Yes, there are. We'll talk about that.
It's animated.
It's animated. Okay.
And it's in Japan.
Quick tangent. There are anime games. One example would be like visual novels, right? They're pick your own path adventure stories that are video games. But then you have like video game adaptations of things like One Piece and Dragon Ball. Those would be anime games.
Yeah.
Then you have games like, those are obvious. I don't feel like I need to elaborate on that. They're directly adaptations of anime.
Yeah.
Then you have games that are considered anime games because they are usually made in Japan, or at the very least inspired heavily by Japanese anime properties and tropes and art style, everything like that. A good example is the Tales series. I haven't played any of them. I got one, but I haven't played it still. There's like Tales of Symphonia, Tales of Berseria, and they're just open world-ish, action-ish RPG games, like JRPGs, right? Japanese RPGs. That's their own subgenre of role-playing games is, Japanese RPG games are like identifiable by their art style, a lot of their narrative tropes, but a lot of their mechanics as well are unique to games that come out of Japan, and games that try and emulate them tend to not achieve the same level of harmony between the jank and like fun gameplay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Where does Final Fantasy come into it?
It's a Japanese RPG.
So
I don't know.
Okay. So it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
By itself. Yeah.
So like people would call Final Fantasy games anime games.
Yeah.
I think that they were on like the more western end of the spectrum, especially the later series, later entries into the series.
It is a spectrum, eh?
Yeah, it's a spectrum. It's not a hard cut.
Yeah.
But
because Nintendo's a Japanese company, right?
Yeah, but
any of the Nintendo games.
But they don't like Mario is not an anime game. It doesn't like it. It lacks any of the aesthetics that anime has.
But that's my point. Like you can't just say it's a Japanese thing, therefore it's anime. Right?
It's also not an RPG. But say
like
Mario
Zelda is
that's not an RPG either. That's an adventure game.
Oh yeah, because you're not. Yeah.
Yes. Again, it's more of a spectrum. That's kind of an anime game, but it's not too. It's like very, very, very not much of an anime game. An example of a anime game that came from Nintendo would be like Super Mario and the Thousand Year Door, or Super Paper Mario, sorry, and the Thousand Year Door, which is the RPG series that they made for Mario, where you play as Mario and you do RPG stuff.
What's RPG stuff?
You level up, you grind, you have to, like, instead of just going and, like, platforming levels to save Peach, there are characters with stories and arcs and emotions.
Right, okay.
Pretty well written for a Mario game, surprisingly, like, came out of fucking nowhere.
Oh, sorry.
No, you say.
No, I was just going to say, you could say as on a style, in style terms, that Mario is more on the Western end of things.
Well, interestingly, like, all of those games initially came out of Japan, all those really popular ones, like Pac-Man, Mario, all Asteroid... Oh, no, I actually don't know about Asteroids. Again, saying things with confidence. I don't know. But, like, yeah, Mario initially came out of Japan and they weren't trying to appeal to a Western audience.
Right.
I feel like it's just that they don't lean as heavily into the kind of insular anime references and influences. I mean, yeah.
Nice.
Another example of an anime game would be, and I'll come back to Monster Hunter really quickly because there is something else I want to say, but I looked up Valkyrie Drive Mermaid.
Oh, yeah.
So Valkyrie Drive Mermaid is the one where girls have to diddle each other to turn one of them into a weapon and then they fight each other. It's not just an anime, friend.
Really?
It's a multimedia enterprise. There is an anime, there is a mobile game, and there is a fighting game.
Wow.
Just really surprised to find out that there's like multiple entries, and they've all got like Valkyrie Drive, Mermaid is the anime, Valkyrie Drive, I can't remember the name of the video game, or the mobile game, but that's not the point. In the mobile game, in the fighting game, whenever you KO a character, it like strips them of all their clothes and then they're naked. You don't see anything because they're like, modestly covering themselves, or they're like knocked through a sign and the sign is covering their bits. But it's like, oh, isn't that tittillating? I don't know.
I wonder why it didn't get as popular as like Smash Brothers then.
Oh, well.
Joey! What do you play? Just a fighting game, Mum. Don't come in.
Well, the thing about Japanese games in general is that there are a lot of games that don't get ported to the West until very, very recently. Like, the West didn't get them. Like, an example would be Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest is hugely popular in Japan. Like, I'm pretty sure that it's so big that some companies close because they know that so many of their staff will just not show up to work because it's day one release for the next Dragon Quest game.
This is the one that Akira Toriyama...
He does the character designs for.
Yeah.
In an interview, Akira Toriyama said, I didn't know what video games were when they asked me to do the designs for this, and if I'd known how much work it would be, I would have said no.
Wow.
God, that old scamp. Just fucking so apathetic to his work and how popular it is. So the big issue with something like Valkyrie Drive not taking off so much in the West is because it just wasn't ported until really, really recently.
Persona and Catherine
didn't get ported until a few years later.
Would you say that they are anime games?
Oh, definitely, especially Catherine.
Right, yeah.
For those of you who don't know what Catherine is a game where you play as a guy who just is a bit of a schmuck. He has no ambition, just goes to the bar every night with his mates. He's engaged to or dating a girl named Catherine, but one night, after he goes to the bar, he wakes up in bed next to another girl named Catherine, but with a K. And the game is just you picking which girl to stay with, either the stable one who's been with you for like 10 years or this new hotness. And the gameplay is you go to a bar, you talk about it with your mates, and you talk to the bartender who tells you about a different beer every night. Oh, this beer is this. All the mates have different arcs that they're going through. And then at night, when you go to sleep, you have this horrible puzzle game where your dreams are trying to kill you. There's one where he's like, should I have a baby? And then there's like a baby chasing him, trying to kill him and eat him. A big old baby. I was talking about Monster Hunter World. I wanted to talk about the weapon designs in Monster Hunter World, because this is very anime. This is why I think it's an anime game.
Right.
There's a lance, there's a bow, there's like a crossbow, basic bitch shit. You could pick the gun lance. I know what you're thinking, right? They put a gun on a lance? Wrong. They put a knife on a gun. It's a huge, long cannon with a bayonet on it. And I know what you're thinking. There's like good long range, and then if they come up close, you knife them. Wrong. You're knifing them all the time, and then once like there's a big window for opening, you charge up a huge shot and do like a big blast. Yeah. So it's not long range. There's the switch axe, which is an axe that turns into a great sword. So the axe part slides down, and the back of the axe flips over, extending your range, and also it becomes heavier. Yeah. There's the charge blade, which is really cool. It's a sword and shield, and then you're like, fuck, there's an opening, I'm gonna hit him. You take the sword and sheath it into the top of the shield, and now it's an axe.
Okay, yep.
That one makes more sense. That one's really cool. And then there's things like a great sword, which is just like larger than two of your character models. A cat helps you. It's called a palico, and it's just a little kind of anthropomorphic cat who runs around and helps trap monsters and stuff. But yeah, last one, the insect glaive. It's just a long stick with a knife on the end. But you have an insect on your left wrist. You shoot the insect. It's called a kinsect. At the monsters, it bites up the monster, and then it extracts, like, I don't know, blood from the monster, and when it comes back to you, it buffs you. It's just a weird thing, and I love it. I've played, like, way too much of it over the past 3 weeks.
Do you have to build your character around, like, one of the weapons?
No, that's the best thing. You start with all 14 different weapons, and you can just alternate between them. It gets to a point where it would be hard to continue with the story because you have to upgrade your weapons. That's how you live. Instead of leveling your character, you just get better weapons.
Right.
But, I mean, you can always go back and farm easier monsters with other weapons. It's a fantastic time. I'm having a lot of fun. Shit story. But the weapons are just so crazy and stupid. Even the fucking, like, there's, you can have 2 knives, right? Just 2 knives. And then the thing with the knives is that you activate demon mode, because fucking of course you do, where all of your damage is increased, but your stamina reduces. But you can jump onto the monster and, just like Sonic the Hedgehog, spin like a ball, just like from the tail to the head of the monster. Yeah, cut it. Just like...
It's good.
It's ridiculous. It's a lot of fun.
Which one in the series is it?
This is Monster Hunter World, which there are like 15 entries. It's not worth... There's like Monster Hunter Pets, Monster Hunter 2, Monster Hunter Alliance Plus, Monster Hunter 3. I'm making most of them up. This is my first Monster Hunter entry, but It's been way too much fun. Robert?
Well, this week, today even, if it wasn't for having to come to record this podcast tonight, I would still be binging Attack on Titan.
Yay! High five!
I started watching it earlier today, and I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. I could probably get into that. And then the second episode, I'm like, yeah, I could definitely get into this. And then by the fourth episode
later,
I'm like, oh shit, what's happening? Oh, what's gonna happen with all the characters?
Can we, if you haven't watched Attack on Titan, if this is your first episode, last episode I talked about Attack on Titan. I give it a sterling recommendation. I feel like, because 2 of us have now seen it,
yeah.
Curtis, are you ever going to watch it?
Yeah.
Can we do... Oh.
Yeah, you can talk about it.
Oh, right, that's the... Yeah. Let's get into maybe like a bit of spoilers for more than just the first episode.
Okay, yes, yeah. So, alright. So I've seen 4 episodes, and then I literally had to stop because I had to leave to get in the car and come here. So there's been a couple more things happen than you mentioned, but not a lot. We can't spoil much anyway. What I wanted to say is that all the time you've been talking about the giants eating people and everything, I didn't have in mind what they looked like. I didn't have in mind that they look like what they look like.
Yeah. I tried to explain.
And I feel like they are more disturbing that they just have human appearance, effectively.
Yeah.
Like from I mean, they're kind of like, they're naked, but without genitalia. But from like head and shoulders up, they just look like really big people, and I think that's even more disturbing than what I had in mind. I had in mind that they were kind of like
ogres or something.
Yeah, like ogre type thing, like some sort of like pustules and goblins, and something weird about their face that makes them evidently different. But they just look like real humans with hair and like a regular face, kind of big wide mouths with smiling, constantly smiling.
The one that eats Aaron's mum is the Smiling Titan.
Right.
That's what they end up calling it that.
Okay.
They don't.
Are there types, or is that like one specific one?
They tend to, if a Titan shows up or is important, they give it a name.
Oh, okay.
Just for reference, and like in the fan community, it was the Smiling Titan because they're all pretty happy to be gobbling people. They're all pretty chuffed about it.
Yeah, the ones that we see tend to be smiling.
But that one is like particularly happy. So stoked.
And I found it, I was expecting something else, and then I saw these like giant people just like walking along smiling and then picking people up and eating them. And
Kendoling as well.
Yeah, Kendoling.
Which is another like unsettling, uncanny thing.
I think it's really cool as well that we do have all those different size classes of, so you can see like in the long shots, they've got some really cool camera angles in this. Really like long shots and like slow motion, and as the humans are running away, scattering from the ground, but you can see like 3 different sizes of giant all running around after people and stuff. I found that kind of cool.
Interestingly, or maybe not interestingly, if you already knew this, it's pretty. The Japanese title for the show and the manga is Shinjeki no Kyojin, which means Advancing Giants. Makes way more sense than Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I didn't understand that, because the first time I heard about the thing, I thought, okay, Titan is the name of the city where they're held up and the giants are attacking Titan. It doesn't make any sense that they are the Titans. It's not even attacking Titans or something.
It seems like a really bad translation error, but
why is it? No idea.
No idea. There's probably a reason for it. Haven't found one.
What's the Japanese one?
Shinjeki no Kyojin or Advancing Giants.
Advancing Giants.
Which makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Because in the very first episode, they managed to breach the outer wall. There's 3 walls of this human city. Well, not even a city. It's like a metro. It's like almost like a country. Because they talk about all
the
county. Yeah, it's a county, effectively. Lots of different almost cities and towns and stuff within the 3 walls. So it's huge. They breached the first one in the first episode, and so they are advancing into the city.
Yes.
And I think by the end of the 4th, at the end of the 4th episode, is when they breach the next wall.
Yeah.
And they start to go in, so they're advancing immediately.
They've got 3 walls.
Yeah.
Do they have walls within those walls?
You'd think so. You'd think that would be smart.
If it is breached...
they segment them like pizza.
They have the pocket cities on the outer wall. So in north, south, east, and west, they have a large city. There are cities and towns within the circular walls, but they have these pocket cities that sit on the outside of the walls. Because Titans are inextricably drawn to humans, having those pocket cities means that you know where Titans are going to attack, right? They're not just going to show up at a random part and breach the wall somewhere random.
Right.
That's what that's supposed to do. What they've never ever been prepared for is a 60-meter tall Titan and then an armored one. The other thing is that nobody knows how the walls were built. There's a whole religion about it. There's a guy preaching about how the walls are a gift from God and how you can't touch them, you can only look after them, you can't make amends or extensions to them. And they go into it more later, how nobody even knows what they're made of. They're not made of concrete. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on with the walls. So that's another mystery.
And they've only been up 100 years, right?
So they can't repair the walls.
They can kind of repair them, but they tend to not need much maintenance, is my understanding. Yeah.
I wasn't expecting the sort of time skip that happens immediately. We see the initial breach. They get into one of those little pocket towns where they're meant to attack. They get into that, and then the armoured guy smashes into the main part.
That's where they are. They're in a pocket town.
Yeah.
He kicks the shit out of the wall to let the Titans in.
Yeah.
And then they go back into the main wall.
The main third wall, the outer ring.
Yeah.
They go into there, and then the armoured guy smashes into there.
Yeah.
So they lose the entire outer ring.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the 4th episode, they're starting to lose the second ring, the middle ring.
They skip all the training, or not all of the training, they skip a large chunk of the training that Eren, Mikasa, and Armin would have had to have gone through.
Yeah, there's a 5-year time skip.
It's all faff. Nobody wants to see that shit. Get on with it. Get to the good shit.
We see an episode of them joining the military at like age 12 or something, which again was already 2 years after the initial onslaught. And then he's like having a hard time getting his balance with these omnidirectional movement gear that he has to wear. and then at the end of that episode, he gets the hang of it, and then it just skips to him just being super good with it, like 2 years later. So they managed to skip forward 5 years in the first few episodes. I was surprised to see how to not see any more gore than I saw, to be honest. Because from how you guys were describing it, I was expecting a lot more gruesome, gory nature to it, and it's
the
not
manga
the
is
first
quite
episodes.
gory.
The manga is quite gory. I feel like it's one of those things where if you don't say that there's gore, it's like I've been burned before by underselling something. It's better to oversell.
There's a lot of blood, but you don't see any. Well, you've yet to see anyone actually get eaten on camera. You see people getting raised to the mouth, and then it always cuts away. And then you see like blood. You
never see chewing or anything, but you do see people get like slurped up.
But when he was like raising his mother to his mouth in that first episode after breaking her back, which is gruesome, I was expecting that it wouldn't cut away. You'd see him like bite down, chomp through her upper torso, and then pull her away, and you'd see the viscera and stuff stringing out from her body. You never see anything like that.
Would it be better if I said it was R16 instead of R? What we described was maybe R18, but it is R16 in New Zealand.
If you saw guts and entrails, then that's R18, I guess. But yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying it. I think they're doing a very good job of demonstrating how ill-prepared the humans are.
Yeah.
It's, in that first episode alone, it's a fantastic sense of hopelessness that you get from them when they're like, we're killing them, blah, blah, blah. You see some returning soldiers and they're all just despondent. They've lost everyone. And a woman runs forward and she's like, "Where's Moses? Where's my son?" And he goes, "Oh, this is Moses' mother. Bring it." And he brings an arm that's wrapped up in a bandage and he says, "That's all we could retrieve of him." And she goes, she's crying over the loss of her son, and she says, "Was he at least useful to the cause? Did he die a hero's death?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, of course. And then he sort of breaks down and goes, No, he wasn't. He wasn't useful. Like every mission before, we achieved nothing.
Yeah.
We've done nothing. We've lost everyone." And he starts screaming and crying and
has a breakdown.
And this is like the commander of this unit, and he's letting a breakdown about how useless they are.
Even the wall corps, the ones that are in charge of maintaining the walls and the city, they're just drunk off their ass. They don't do any work. They're just playing poker. They're fucking bludging. And people call them like waste of tax money and all that shit. So the people who are supposed to be ready for when the Titans do breach, when the Titans breach, they're all drunk.
They don't have a fucking clue how to deal with it.
And there's that perfect part where Hanji, who's like, I don't know, the neighborhood cop who Eren seems to know, is like, "Don't worry, kids, I'll save your mum." And he runs in, and there's just that really long shot of him just shitting his pants.
He like runs around the corner and stands and just watches as this like giant is a few hundred meters away, just staring it back at him. And then he just turns around.
He's like, "Nope."
Comes back, picks up the two kids, and runs off, leaving the mum trapped under the rubble.
So good.
Yeah,
it's really well directed.
He puts him down later and says, "You weren't able to save your mum because you weren't strong enough to lift the rubble off of her legs. You weren't strong enough. I wasn't able to save your mum because I lacked the courage." And he starts crying and says, I'm not strong enough to...
It's just so good. Yeah, I really wish that you'd seen more episodes.
So do I.
But that's all good. We've got obviously
I will have by next week.
Enough to talk about.
I kept thinking it would make a really good RPG setting.
It's one of those things where you think it would, and I don't know that it would.
Yeah.
It would be really hard to balance. Like,
there's a game, right?
Oh, there's a video game. Oh, yeah. It's
you're talking about...
Like a tabletop.
Right.
I was thinking tabletop, but I figured it would make a good game, whatever system, but I was thinking specifically tabletop because that's how my brain goes these days.
We play a lot of tabletop games.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's just because it's quite a fleshed out world. It's like there's a lot of characters, which I quite like about it as well. It's going to take me a while to get my head around who they all are. But all the cadets that end up graduating top of the class, they have a moment where they're doing training through the woods, and the what do you call them? The drill sergeant.
Yeah.
He's sort of narrating what their shtick is. He says, "Oh, this is so and so. He's really got good morale with the rest of the group. Everybody loves him, but he's a bit lacking in this area.
Yeah.
And this is so and so. She's a fucking waster and nobody likes her, but she's really good at this particular thing."
Yeah.
So there's a lot of character development in that kind of thing.
How would you balance fights in a game?
Because I always end up falling back onto the D20 system because it's the one I know the best, even though it's not the one I like the most. And things like, because I was thinking that with Monster Hunter, I was like, I fucking love these weapons. They're so stupid and so good.
Yeah.
But how would it's a really fine line of being able to balance that, like, really instantaneous combat, because the thing that you would want to nail with that is the sense of omnidirectional movement, being able to zip around and take out titans by the way that they do it in video games. They don't do it as much in the TV show, but you have to try and immobilize the titan, and how you can do that is by cutting their ankles,
right,
and then they fall down. It happens in the show eventually, but so they fall down to their knees, which exposes their nape a little bit more. Or you can, if they're giving you grief, you can cut like their elbows, so they can't raise their arms, that kind of stuff. There are ways of doing it, but it's an interesting thing to think about.
It would be fun to come up with mechanics for it. I think it would be fun to come up with the stat block for the giants. The different giants get different stat blocks and stuff, and they'd all have like regeneration. It seems like unless you hit a critical hit, then you haven't hit them in the neck, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it would be a really good setting for something like a one shot.
I don't know if at this stage I don't know if it would hold up for later, because I haven't seen enough to know what's the outside world and what happens when they breach the last wall, if they do, and that sort of stuff. But at this stage I was thinking, this would make a fun one shot, more fun just from the preparation side of things as well. I enjoy like coming up with new mechanics and thinking about how to balance games and stuff. I'm fully invested. I'll be binging that through the next week, because thankfully I've got another week off before I go back to uni.
Do you have anything else?
No, nothing else that I watched this week. I've put Cardcaptor on hold for a while while I'm busy with other things.
No worries. I guess that means that I should move into my recommendation. This week, I am recommending Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei is a comedy series, a black comedy series. I watched it a few years ago, and I remembered really liking it, and I wanted to recommend it, so I went back and I watched the first episode again, and then one episode from the middle of the first season. I think it still holds up. The show is about... the show's main character is Nozomu Itoshigi, and he's a teacher. And the first opening shot of the anime is him trying to hang himself from a cherry blossom tree. And then his student, Kafka Fuda, sees him trying to kill himself, and she says, "You mustn't!" And so she runs and tackles him, taking him off the chair, and then is then hanging from him, being like, don't kill yourself! But she's, adding more weight, and he's choking. And then the rope breaks from the extra weight, and then he looks at her and says, "What if I died?" And then he stands up and he's like, "Again, I failed to kill myself." And she's like, "But you just said, what if you died? You weren't trying to kill yourself." He's like, "No, I was 100% prepared to die." He's just really negative, a total cynic, and he tries to impose his cynicism on his students. And Kafka Fuda is overly positive, like ridiculously so. She is like, "Oh no, sorry, yeah, you weren't trying to kill yourself. Nobody could kill themselves on such a nice spring day." And he goes, "No, I was." She goes, No, you were just trying to make yourself taller, right?" And he's like, "No, I definitely was trying to kill myself." She's like, you want to play basketball? You aren't even that short. You just need to work on your jumping skills." He's like, "No, you're not listening to me. I tried to hang myself from that tree." She's like, No. See, my dad also used to try and make himself taller."
Oh, no.
Yeah. Dark. It's so good. Oh, man. It's funny. It's funny. So each episode kind of focuses on a phrase or a piece of Japanese culture and takes it to just an extreme, and just kind of plays with it. Like, in one episode, he talks about how you very rarely get things you want in life. So he takes them on a preview of a field trip where they don't actually get to do anything. They just they go on a really short bus ride and then they have to get off because it's just a preview of a bus ride. And then everywhere they go to, where like a museum and stuff, they only get to look at things for a really short amount of time. It's a preview, stand in front of them. Funny visual comedy. The reason it's called Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei is that there's a scene in the first episode where he writes his name on the chalkboard because he's their homeroom teacher, and he's lamenting over his name because it's got like an unlucky number of strokes in it, and he hates it. And then the really happy girl is like, "Oh, well, stroke count is only a Japanese thing, and if you write it horizontally instead of vertically, it won't count. He's like, no, don't! And then she does it, and his name becomes Japanese for despair.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, I'm in despair! And it's all funny. All the characters all of the students in the class, have names that are, like, representative of their thing. Like, there's a girl who's always communicates through text. Always. And her name is a play on Moshi Moshi, which is how people answer the phone. Everybody's just a silly stereotype, but it's very, very funny and very dark, obviously. Interesting art style, kind of similar to Tatami Galaxy, but maybe a little bit more defined. It's a silly, good romp. And I think maybe you should check it out.
What's that called?
Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. There are 3 seasons and there's a manga. I did just look up the ending of the manga. Holy fuck. Takes a turn.
Yeah.
Takes a turn again. But it's a good series. Yeah. They don't all have to be half-hour recommendations, guys. I think that wraps that part up. I think it's time for our next segment. It's a return of fake views. Fake Views is a segment where I bring some anime that is real and some anime that is fake, and Curtis and Robert, in an attempt to flex their anime pipes, try and guess which one's which. Last week I did a one real, one fake comparison.
Yeah.
Robert metagamed it way too much,
Yeah.
so I've reduced it to just one. You'll still be able to metagame it, but it won't be like a direct comparison, like which of these two
is he going to come up with now? I went back and listened to last week's as well, and I was like, fuck, that is Ninja Turtles. Like, damn it, everything about it.
That's good. I'm also not gonna read the title because then maybe people can play at home. Okay, so first anime. One day, after discovering a mysterious shrine in his family's basement, the main character is possessed by the spirit of his grandfather and granted the ability to see yokai, being Japanese spirits. Using the wisdom and martial mastery of his ancestors, he must now avenge his grandfather, while protecting his family from the yokai that are now drawn to his home, and his classmates from his grandfather's wandering hands.
I was with you until that last moment. I was like, yeah, this is real. And then I'm like, oh, no. Oh, but then there are pervy things. I was like, he's put the pervy thing in there because he knows that I was focused on that with, what's his name? The old perv from Dragon Ball?
Master Roshi.
I was like, yeah, that was a big deal for me. And he's just put a Master Roshi character in there. But no, there are there's a lot of them. I'm going to go with real.
I'll go with fake.
Ding, ding, ding. Curtis gets it.
Ah, motherfucker.
I did put it in there because...
I was like, but double bluff. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one's fake. Next anime. Aliens from outer space have taken over feudal Japan. As a result, a prohibition of swords has been established and the samurai of Japan are treated with disregard as a consequence. However, one man still possesses the heart of a samurai. Although a love for sweets and work as a yoruzuya, which is a word for like a jack of all trades, a handyman kind of thing, one might not expect it.
Okay. So aliens have attacked.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Why are the aliens against swords? Why are they against samurai?
It's not in the synopsis.
Okay.
You have to watch to find out.
Okay.
Not in the first episode.
So the aliens have attacked. They hate swords, and so they're like oppressing everybody, but they're not killing you unless you've got swords and shit.
It's probably just like because you had an open weapon policy in the Edo. It's in the Edo period of Japan,
right? That was
so
a
just
big
like
time for samurai.
Yeah, and they're like, no more of that, please.
Right.
Society.
And like the protagonist is just a handyman.
Yeah, he does odd jobs.
I'm gonna say
he does like all kinds of jobs.
Real.
I'm gonna go real as well.
Yeah, I feel like I sold that one a little bit too. That's Gintama, which is ranked it's got 5 seasons currently, and it's ranked between 9 and 9.15 on my anime list.
Oh wow.
And it's got like a popularity rank of between 15th and 6th most watched
Damn.
show.
Wow.
Really highly regarded. Really, really long running series though, like over 400 episodes.
Quite a few listeners would have already known it then. When
Oh yeah. Okay, last one. There's nothing that the MC loves more than food. And so when she gets accepted into a prestigious school that prides itself on cooking, there's obviously the name of the school here, I'm just not reading it. Despite her clumsiness, she thinks that her dreams have come true. But from rival school competitions, suspicious teachers, and insane homework, it looks like her dream might not be all she thought it would be. But her smile and determination will help her become the best chef in the world.
If it's not an anime, it should be real.
I'm gonna go with. Well, I have to go different to you, otherwise you win. I have to go different, and then we can tie.
It's like the prisoner's bluff.
So I'm gonna go fake.
It's fake.
Yeah, draw.
That one's fake. But I will list the anime that inspired. I realized I was like writing like a food version of a bunch of different shows.
Okay.
It's based on shows like Hibike Euphonium, Little Witch Academia, My Hero Academia, and Food Wars. I haven't actually seen Food Wars, but it's got food in it.
It's got food in the title.
But yeah, like shonen-ish, or upstart young kid who wants to be the best at their thing, and they go to a school to do that thing.
Right.
Definitely sounded like it could have been a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It should be an anime picture.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, TM. Copyright. Hit me up if you want to license any of my intellectual property. I think that the grandfather possessing his grandson might be a home sleeper.
What was the name of the school?
There wasn't one. I made it up. I fell into that trap last time.
We have to put this podcast onto a USB and then post that USB to ourselves, because there's something to do with like posted, or there used to be anyway.
Is there?
Like, yeah, if you post something to yourself, then you've that's like a
You've published it. Right.
It's a workaround without having to go through.
If I print it out and then I hand it to you.
Yeah.
Is that? And I'm like, I'm a postman. This is for you.
Yeah. I don't know.
Airtight.
Yep. Airtight.
Don't steal my show. This should be the segment where we do any listener email. We're a couple weeks ahead of when we release things, and we're at a point where we've just released the hentai episode for reference, and understandably nobody's commented. I think that's fine. So I thought that I would just use this time to...
I have some.
Are you serious?
Yeah, not email, but I've got comments on YouTube that I want to reference.
On the hentai episode?
No.
Okay.
No, just on the previous Utena episodes.
We'll leave this in, that's fine. What's up?
I wanted to shout out Martina, or Sneaky Storms, as they go by, who is obsessive about Utena, as they self-proclaim, and has pointed out a couple of things that we missed, that a couple of details that you only get when watching it through like 100 times. Yeah. Some really interesting, fascinating stuff, though. Like, we were joking about how at the ballroom scene where Anthe's been humiliated and she's naked on the floor, and Utena rips off the dress that's shoulderless, and she's wearing a boy's uniform again. She's not just wearing the boy's uniform, she's wearing like the magic uniform that Anthe like makes up when she's dueling and stuff, so it's like a magical thing. There's an interesting magical element to it. Also, when Mickey is flashing back to his childhood days, he is imagining his sister with having short curly hair, but when his sister later imagines back to her time, she's got straight hair. And Anthe has the curly hair, and so it's an interesting little look at how Mickey is misremembering and forcing his ideal of who his sister was onto Anthe, and seeing her as his shining thing and stuff. Yeah, fascinating little details. They also mentioned how they came to all of the ages that they came to with the who's ahead of who and stuff like that. So yeah, I want to shout out to you, Matt, and thank you very much for commenting. I hope you keep watching all the way to the end. We'll be continuing with Utena all the way to episode 39.
It would be hard for it to do a turn in the same way that Dragon Ball Z did a turn for us. Speaking of, that's what the admin I wanted to do was, after taking some podcast advice from some very good boys, I and Robert and Curtis decided to take down the first season of Keep Your Friends Close and Your Enemies Closer. I don't know if it's actually down, but we've taken them down. I don't know if they're still on YouTube when you take those down.
Sure.
I just felt we initially put up a warning on episode 0, which was the episode where we kind of explained the premise of the podcast, which was a spur of the moment thing where we just got together and decided to do a podcast like right then and now because there's no time like the present. But the audio quality wasn't very good. We weren't as good at not talking over each other now. We still do it, but we were worse.
A human.
There were a couple good ones in there, but overall it's kind of bad. We also had a really, really bad time with Dragon Ball Z Kai, and you're listening to us literally go insane. And not in like a funny way, it's really bad. I feel like a little bit mean-spirited. On the topic of that, I do think that Curtis pointed out a couple episodes ago that the level of detail that we were going through each episode and making us point out all the things that we didn't like about it was probably unhealthy, considering, I mean, like, it's not an excuse. It was, I don't think we would have enjoyed it either way, but it kind of escalated the bad experience we were having. Yeah. Long story. Anyways, we've taken season 1 down. If we ever are fortunate enough to have one person who wants to give us $1 on Patreon or something, if we ever decide to start a Patreon, we'll put them up there. But for now, they are gone. If you really, really miss them, or you're like, oh, dang, I should have told somebody about them, let us know, and we'll, I don't know, send them to you or something. But speaking of also letting people know, if you liked what you heard just now, if you're still listening, let somebody know. Just like go, hey guy, I think that you might like this. Or even I do say friends and foes, tell somebody who you don't think would like this show.
So that we can get some feedback from people who are willing to tell us that you suck.
Yeah.
That's not Regis.
That's not Regis. Regis, we reference as if everybody knows. He's been writing in every week since episode 1. But yeah, just let somebody know. I think it's the best way. Word of mouth is the best way to spread podcasts around, and we're still growing. But if you want to get in touch directly, Robert is active on Reddit and YouTube and all the social media platforms that there are in the world, including Bing and Bong and Bebo and
MySpace. Somebody's going to search for a MySpace page for us now. And
is MySpace still up?
I don't know. I bet Tom's still on there.
Justin Timberlake bought it.
Yeah.
So that he could have his own space.
I don't know, maybe.
He was like, what are they doing with my space?
Yeah. He was on that social what's
the social network.
The social network
That's
movie.
the guy
and
who
then he's like, I can do this.
Yeah. This made sense to me.
Yeah.
If you want to get in touch and give us feedback or comment or whatever, social media is a good way to do it. Or you can email us at KYFCaYAC at gmail.com. That's KYFCaYAC at gmail.com. But until next week, when we watch episodes 13, 14, and 15 of Revolutionary Girl Utena, I have been Joel, as always, your anime plumber.
I have been Robert, as always, your anime plumber's assistant.
And I've been your anime plunger, Curtis, as always.
As always.
Until next week, missing truth and forever, kissing love, and true your heart.